Business is tough. Imagine you could ask someone that's been there and done it some questions about how to overcome your challenges. Someone that's bought businesses, scaled up multiple companies and employs over 1,000 people. Well, that someone is me, and I'm here to answer your questions. All you need to do is comment on my YouTube channel. I swipe the best ones and then I answer them here. And that's what we're going to do in this video right now. Why do high streets keep looking like ghost cities in the UK? What needs to be done to keep them from going out of business? Oh, this is one I absolutely love. This is a great question. Some retail's still doing well. They're turning money. It's whether they can make money because the overheads are so high, because the turnover taxes in the United Kingdom really drive people out of business. You know, if you've got a shop and you've got £100,000 worth of rent, you're probably going to have to pay another £50,000 on top to local government for business rates. Can you imagine that? You've got 100,000 rent and then another £50,000 in turnover tax just to be on the high street. And it's just not fair because the business rates are driving high streets out of business. It's the turnover taxes, the VAT, employers' national insurance, business rates, insurance premium tax, all the other pension costs that small business owners have now been battered with that have become more and more over the last 10 years. 10 years ago, a lot of them weren't there, or they were considerably less. And so that's one of the reasons why you're set green levy on electric. That's another turnover tax that wasn't there 10 years ago. And all these taxes are another, it's like death by 1,000 cuts, another little turnover tax that are just driving high streets into massive decline. Then you've got councils charging horrific rates of parking. People going to shopping centres now where the parking's free, and you've got much nicer locations where people can do things a lot easier. There is competition. The big supermarkets and Amazon have come along, but a lot of people should be really seeing as their high street business as a studio to make content to drive people online. We're going to actually think about opening a children's stationery shop in the future for this new brand that I'm starting. And I want to use the shop as the actual studio to make great content to drive people online. So I do think if you create an experience-based retail shop, it can still work. But what would really help the high streets not dying is bring those turnover taxes down. Anyone from government watching, tax profit, stop taxing turnover. Aziz79 said, what would you consider a good deal when buying a business? Typically, how many times profit multiple are you happy with when buying a business? I replied to him on the YouTube channel, it all depends on the deal, but I'll go into it one step further because I have bought many loss-making companies. I think when you go and buy a business, you should really look at the deal and think in your mind, what could you achieve? What could you and your team achieve? What have you done before where you could accelerate the business purchase that you're about to do? Now, obviously, buying a really good business that's got good profits should always be the aim. But sometimes there's huge opportunities where the business owner, the people in control of the business have just had enough and their effort, energy, enthusiasm has been swiped out of the business. And there is a clear reason for businesses not doing well. If I look at my farm attraction, Marsh Farm, that I bought 11 years ago, when I bought that, it was losing £500,000 a year. Now that's one of our most profitable businesses now. So you can buy bad stuff and turn it around as long as that's reflected in the price. I've even done deals where I've bought loss-making businesses and someone's paid me to take the business over. This process is called a reverse premium because actually the cost of closing a business could be way in excess of what you're prepared to pay someone. Let me explain that just one step further. To close a business, you might be in a lease. To get out of the lease could cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. To make all the staff redundant, again, hundreds of thousands of pounds. There could be finance that's personally guaranteed. You can step in and turn everything around. Because usually when you're buying companies, there's a reason people want to get out. They either want a liquidity day to get loads of money, they want to do something else, or they've had enough, or they're retiring, or there's a divorce in the mix. You need to find out what someone's angle is, and then that can predict what you do on the deal in terms of purchasing it. In terms of X times multiples, it works like this in the marketplace. Any business under 2 million of profit or EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, tax depreciation and amortization, really the positive cash flow of business spins off. If it's under 2 million, you're paying anywhere between 2 and 5 times profit. If you go over that £2 million mark, the multiples ratchet up considerably, because that's when people buying with OPM, that's other people's money, people like private equity, pension funds, venture capital, they like to buy those businesses because there's insurance policies in buying bigger businesses that are more established with better profits, because if something goes wrong, you've got enough skin in the game to protect you. So hopefully I've answered the question there. Cheers, James. Another excellent video. Can you tell us if you've decided to get rid of any businesses you've bought into? Why and how do you feel about it now? I've made some mistakes. I've bought a chain of party shops. They were too small, the rents and the rates were too high. Customers only bought from you once or twice a year. They were location based. Funny thing is, I've gone and bought Party Pieces now, which is one of the biggest online party shops in the country. I've actually made a video about that. I'll put a link in the video description on why I bought Party Pieces. Go and check that out. That was a good buy. But yeah, I had a chain of party shops in locations, just wasn't right because of all the overheads. The second one is I actually had a theme park on a seafront in Eastbourne in England. It was called Fort Fun, and it was too small. So when you was really busy, you couldn't get enough customers in. So I had an opportunity for someone to buy it off me. The landlord actually wanted to buy it for redevelopment. It was my choice to sell, but I decided to sell that because there was no capacity. It was a seasonal business where you can only take trade in a shorter period of time. I had a stretch limousine business. Again, people would only buy from you once every 3 years, so it was very hard to build up traction. So I sold all the assets of that off. And then I had a day nursery in London. Now I bought this as a turnaround business. I bought lots of businesses that were turnaround, but it's really hard to get the management in place. And again, the overheads were too high and I couldn't get my team in there to sort it. So I had to cut my losses off rather than investing 3, 4, 5 years to turn it around. I think one of the things that would summarize all of this, you can turn everything around once you've got the experience that we've got as a business. It's just whether it's the right thing to put your time, effort and energy and money into. Are there other lower hanging fruits that are going to get you a faster return on investment? I think, you know what? Time in the game, experience is one of the things that makes you better at that. When I started out as an entrepreneur, I would hold on to things probably for far too long. Now, because I'm much better at getting management accounts and reporting and experience, I know that we should cut things off sooner and put all of our time, effort and energy into the better things. Let me give you an analogy on this. I like using this. You know, you're a teacher and you've got a class of kids. The teacher spends all the time on the naughty kids rather than enhancing the good kids that really want to learn. And this happens so often in life. There's so many examples of this. But in business, don't get into that folly. You're not a teacher with a class of kids. You can actually choose what you want to do with your time. So make sure you're backing the right horses much earlier on. You will come to that conclusion anyway, but you might be wasting 2, 3 years like I've done in the past. You want to speed that process up. At JakeHall9233 said, do you think accountants make good business owners? I'm currently studying towards ACO, which is the accountancy training degree. Accountants are numbers people. They're bean counters, and all businesses need bean counters if they want to stay in the game. If you don't know your numbers, you're not going to get the maximum profit results. Businesses need accountants. But if you are a business owner and you are an accountant rolled into one, means that you should be super successful. Now, here's the thing. Lots of accountants that I meet are not super successful business owners because they know there's so much risk in business. They're risk adverse people. I do worry that lots of business owners see accountants as their primary business advice. What you really want to get your best business advice from business owners that are super successful, tried, tested and proven, and use your accountants for tax advice, not business advice. That's just my opinion. Please can you reveal how to use key performance and indicators and statistics to manage the operations of a large business? You need some essential KPIs. I use 6 KPIs, cultural ones and numbers ones. And the numbers ones, which I'll come to in a minute, really drive to manage nearly everything that's going on in a business because you want to keep it simple, stupid. KPIs that everyone understands. Let's look at the first thing though, the cultural KPIs. You want to make sure that you keep people informed, so they want to know what's going on in business. Don't keep it all a secret to yourself because how do they know what they need to do? Keep people inspired. Make sure you're the best version of yourself because if you're inspiring, people are going to be inspired to work for you. Make sure the business looks inspiring so people stay around and they're inspired to do their best efforts. And the third one, really important, people in the gang. or keep people in the clique. When you get lots of people in a business, they start separating off and they're in little cliques. You want to get rid of all that. You want to be like an army with one vision where everyone wants to achieve to win the war. If you've got these little cliques, you're going to start seeing your operations deteriorate. So how do we know the numbers now? Well, there's another set of 3 KPI rules. You need to produce monthly management accounts. Never rely on annual sets of accounts. You must produce monthly management accounts, because these will tell you everything about your business. They'll tell you what your income is, what your income lines are, and what your expenses are, and if you've made a profit or loss that month. They are called management accounts or monthly profit and loss for a reason, because they tell you what's happened that month, so you can then steer the ship in a different direction if needed for the next month. You don't want to rely on an annual set of accounts. They're just too late for you to solve the problems. I also like weekly dashboards, but I want to keep it simple for the answer in this question. The next one is tracking your average transactional value or average customer value. How much does each customer spend with you? So if you've an accountancy firm, you've got $1 million turnover and you've got 10 customers, your average customer value is £100,000 a year. And how often do they transact with you, and what's the lifetime value of a customer? Track that like a hawk, because if you notice your average customer value going down, you'll see that your customer service isn't very good. If you notice average customer value going up, that tends to mean you've got a really good product, really good customer service. And then the third one is your labor to turnover ratio. The biggest cost in most businesses walks on 2 legs. So you want to make sure that you're tracking your labor spend as a percentage of your turnover and have aims for it. If you're in leisure and hospitality, you want to be 25% of your turnover. If you're in childcare, another business I'm in, 50% of your turnover goes on labor, or actually 55% now. And you want to track that like a hawk. If it goes 2 up or 2 down, you'll notice your business isn't tracking very well. Remember that other thing, E plus M equals S. You want someone on the leadership and you want management on the day-to-day. It's your managers that should be managing the people, and the entrepreneur and the owner of the business should be growing the business, not operating it. You've got these 2 types of roles. Think of it like you're running a school. Head teachers deciding on the future of the school. Teachers are managing the day-to-day so the students are successful. You need both. Once you understand you need both, things can start really happening in terms of productivity. Hey, I just want to say a big thanks to American Express for sponsoring this video. I've teamed up with Amex to make even more content to help you grow your business. It's all over on the American Express UK YouTube channel. Now, specifically, I want to talk about this video that I've just made, which is all about the key metrics to drive profitability and growth in your business. I call this the 3 KPI rule. You're going to love the video. You can watch it by clicking this link above my head, and also there's a link in the video description. It goes one step further than that, because Amex have created the Business Trends and Insights Hub. It's a resource center for entrepreneurs and business owners with various articles and stuff that you can swipe and deploy into your business to get your business to the next level. There's also a link in the video description as well. Right, let's get back to the video. Hi James, I really love your videos. I have a suggestion. How do you structure your interviews and questions for employees and managers? Okay, well, let's assume now we're talking about management and leadership within the business. We're not talking about the technicians, the people on the floor. We're talking about the next level of employees up. Well, listen, when you're building a business, you should live by the philosophy of E plus M equals S. It's a regular thing that rears its head here on my YouTube channel, and that stands for entrepreneurship plus management equals success. You need to know the difference between leadership and management. You, the entrepreneur, are doing the leadership stuff. What's happening in the future? What are we doing by the year end? Whereas management are looking after the day-to-day. They're looking after the battle plans, not necessarily the war plans. Another great way of explaining this is OST. Leadership is coming up with the objectives. Management are doing the strategies and tactics. Objectives should never change, because that's what happens in government organizations. The flip-flopping between objectives just makes people fall off the rails. They don't know why they're there. But if you keep the objective the same, but you change the strategies and tactics on how to meet the objective, people actually love that. Because if you're doing the same thing and you're not getting the results, then people just end up going, oh, why am I here? When you're doing your interviews, when you're putting management teams in place, remember that OST formula. Remember that you're going to identify the difference between leadership and management and what their actual role is. Once you understand that, your interviews and recruitment process just tenfolds and gets better. I actually just recently wrote a book and done all the recordings for it, called The Dream Team, to help entrepreneurs and SME businesses structure great teams. Now, here's something. If you're very entrepreneurial, you tend to employ people that have the same skill sets as you. Until you get experience, you realize that's a folly and you shouldn't be doing it. You should actually be buying in your weaknesses. I think a lot of people, when they're in business, are going, how do I do this? How do I find the time to do this? Well, I don't think that. I think who, not how. Who can I get to do this? Who's 10,000 hours of experience? Who's better than me at this to bring into the organization so that I can focus on the high value stuff, the income generating tasks. And when you're at interview and recruiting people, you need to make this as clear as night is day. You need to be telling people that you expect them to do this set of stuff that you're not very good at, so that the whole business moves forward, because we have these flexibility in different terms of skill sets to drive the business forward, which ultimately should get you to a better line. Now, I've got a little tip for you. If you're interviewing people, use the 4 interview process if you're an entrepreneurial person. Group 1, I like group interviews. If you wanted to get a new finance director into the business because you're not very good at the numbers, or a new financial controller management account, which all businesses should have, and my opinion is you should employ an accountant before you can actually afford it, because it really becomes free if you get someone good on the numbers. So say we're looking for an accounts person in the business in our little story scenario here. I would do group interview. I would get 10 candidates together that are all accounts people, and I would do an interview to all of them and say, look, this is what I want my business to achieve. This is the types of things that I need to get into the business. This is where we're weak. This is where we're strong. This is the vision of the business. This is where we want to go to in the future. So they absolutely understand your vision and plan for the business. That's interview number 1. Now, you could do that individually, or you could do it as a group interview. To save yourself time, I like to do it in small group interviews. The next interview is a one-to-one interview. And remember, we're going through a deselection process here rather than a selection process. And we want the candidates to deselect working for us as much as us deselecting them. And you might lose a few of them in the first interview process. They might be sitting here listening to you, being absolutely honest about your business, saying we're entrepreneurial, not corporate, we're not structured, we're always moving forward. And that might, we've got no structure. We want the structure to be implemented by you. And that could be like, for many people, I hate that. Other people, I love that. And that's great. We're going through a deselection process. Think of it like a talent show on TV, getting rid of people to get the star of the show at the end. So we've done that group interview process. Now we get to deselect a few and we start getting good candidates. We go to a one-to-one interview. This is you interviewing the person, but you want to have someone there, maybe a management, existing management from your business or another business owner that listens to the way you interview, and you make a decision on that person. The third interview is now you sitting and listening while someone else interviews. Now, this could be another entrepreneur and business owner that you know, or an existing manager in your business, or maybe your accountant, your bank manager interviewing the person. This gives you a second set of decisions because you're listening to someone else interviewing this candidate. And then the fourth interview, and this is the really important one, once they get through those 3 interviews, if you still like them, they present to you on exactly how they're going to achieve what you want them to do for your business. So interview 1, group interview. Interview 2 is a one-to-one interview with you asking the questions. Interview 3 is someone else one-to-one interview whilst you listen in. And what's really interesting here is I've actually changed my mind on people when someone else has done the interview rather than me doing the interview. I was sure at interview 2 that this person would be amazing for my business. When someone else asks the questions, I'm not so sure now, which is great, because if you're entrepreneurial and you're busy and you're just making quick decisions, you might go back on yourself. So that's interview 3, and then interview 4 is the present to you interview on exactly how they're going to achieve your vision for the business, how they're going to achieve your objective, what strategies and tactics are they going to use. You see, we went full circle there. Right, let's get to the next one. Can you please make a video about international shipping and logistics? Do you use a third-party shipping company in the USA, for example? How do you know how much stock to send initially when first starting in a new country? And he goes on. I'll leave the comment up on the screen. I think what he's basically trying to say is, if you're selling stuff here in the UK and you want to move to another country, and I've spoke about this on the channel before, certainly with Party Pieces and Teddy Tastic, we manufacture lots of children's arts and crafts and teddy bears, and we do sell to America. We want to set up in Ireland and in the UAE in the future. How are we going to do that? Let's talk about what we do right now. So if we've got customers that want to buy stuff from us in America, we would make sure that it's a minimum of a pallet order, and then we would ship it from the UK to America. Now, we're talking to some supermarkets in America at the moment. If the volume's big enough, we will ship directly from the country of manufacture, and we manufacture in India, Turkey, the Far East, all over the world, Poland. So we would make sure it's big enough and get an order that's big enough that makes it worthwhile our time to invest into that, and make sure it's pallet size orders. Now, what I would always advise entrepreneurs and business owners, before you look at global business, which you should be doing, make sure you've absolutely exhausted your national market first of all, because I think people are so keen to be in America, be in the UAE, be in the rest of Europe, when there are still so many opportunities in the country that you operate out of. Especially in the UK, you've got 65 million people here. That's a big country. I mean, if you're in one of the Nordic countries and you've only got a couple of million people that live in that country, then yes, you're going to have to think about being global much more quicker. But I would always say, make sure you exhaust your national home market first of all. First of all, make sure you get wholesale customers that can do all the shipping for you, so you're sending big volumes to those countries. Now, what we're going to do in the UAE, which is one step further, we will rent a warehouse, we'll employ a couple of people, and we will take the financial risk to send stock there, and we will set up Party Pieces UAE or Party Pieces America, and people will be able to buy from a Shopify website that's mirrored to our UK website, and we will sell and distribute in that country. That's probably about 12, 18 months away from us, but that's our mind space. And once we're there, we will then set up a wholesale business. So first stage, build up your national markets. You've got big volume. Then you want to wholesale to international countries and have someone on the ground in the country that's going to do all the day-to-day work. Then work with them to build a B2C style business, and maybe even invest in it yourself, and make sure you tell them that's your plan from the outset so that they know what they're going into. Hopefully that answers the question. At Mr. Ian Rock said, have you ever gone into an existing business with external partners, or do you prefer to bring everything into your own circle? Interesting one. I like to own everything 100%. I just see that as much lower risk for me. Now, I have had partners in the past that we've done certain deals together, but I've always gone and bought them out so that I owned everything 100%. That's just the way I prefer to do it. I think ownership is everything, but you should massively reward your team and have them part of the journey. Should you sell a business, they should benefit from that. That is my opinion. So I've always done it on my own, and I've helped lots of business owners. I've had lots on my podcast. I've consulted for lots of business owners in the past. Partnerships usually cause problems. Now, where partnerships do work is if there is an opposing set of skills where one needs the other. So a builder going into partnership with an architect, that should work really well. But a builder going into business with a builder, there's always going to be a difference of opinion on how to do things. But a builder doing something with an architect, opposing set of skill sets. One's going to do all the higher level stuff, one's going to be on the ground. That can work really well. If you are in a partnership, you must have a defined set of roles so that you're not all just responsible for the same stuff. No one can hold each other to account. And secondly, if you need a partner that has money that's going to explode the growth of the business. Sometimes people need private equity partners, venture capital partners. Bringing them in can grow the business. I've never done that, but I know and have seen lots of people super succeed with that, but I also know lots of people that hate having private equity and venture capital partners involved in their business because they feel like an employee, and that's not what they started in business. And if you do go down that route, know that you've got them probably for 5 years, and then at the end of it, you come out with your own money and hopefully you can go on your own. That's my opinion. Next one. James, one of our 10,000 hours guys cheated my grandfather big time. He lost everything. He got back up a little bit, but never to his former self. From then on, my father never trusted anyone, and that habit has been passed on to me as well. We have a small scale business, but I think I could never scale it with my attitude. Do expand more on how to measure your people and business. Very interesting question, and a question and a thought process that stops many business owners going to the next level, stops people employing people and never trusting anyone because a few things have gone wrong. Now, let me tell you now, lots of people have done me over, and they continue to do me over because that is just the way human beings work. But most people are inherently good. I believe in this. Don't be bitter, be better, and work out how you can put moats around your castle. In that analogy, the castle is your business. A castle protects itself. The moat protects itself from the enemy taking the castle. So you've got to work out how you can put moats around your business. Being established, being best in class, having awards, having regulatory watchdogs attached to you, like a dentist, solicitor, accountant. So I love childcare. That regulatory body protects the business. It's a moat around the business. Systems and processes, having a strong brand, intellectual property rights, long contracts with customers that someone can't just take from you. But know this, people are going to do you over, but never let that stop you going to the next level. Just work out how you could be better. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business, because the better you are, the better the business's results. If you look average, you'll get average results. If you think average, you get average results. The best people want to work for the best people. So push yourself to be the best and you'll get the best results to your business. People will always do you over. Do not let that stop you from growing your business. In this video from 0 to 1 million, you mentioned, give or take, you had 300K in pre-sales. A great video would be, how do you get these sales without even having a website? What's the best way to get sales and people interested in a product before production? What persuasion tactics did you use? Wouldn't this be very difficult because the buyer always wants to see the product before they buy it and commit to any purchases? In your opinion. Now, I've been doing this for years. Now, what I was talking about here, or he commented on a video where I made a video about going from 0 to 1 million, how I would do it. And I went through a process of getting pre-sales. I've done this many, many times. I create visuals of the product that I'm going to make. And I say, look, this is what I'm going to make. And this is easy to do. You can do it for free. You can go to Turkey, you can go to India, go to China and say, look, these are the sort of products I want. Can you create me samples, or can you create me visuals of other samples that you've made for other people with our brand on? And you say, look, these are my visuals. This is what I'm going to make. Would you like to buy? And that's what I did. And I got myself hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of pre-sales. I've done that before. You could do that the same. Yes, you have to have some visuals, but you don't actually need to have the product. Think about this. Say you wanted to buy an office block. You wouldn't just make the office block and hope someone was going to buy it. You would say, look, I've got this land here. I've done a visual of what the office block could be like. If you like the picture, would you like me to go and build it for you? Give me a deposit so that I can get going. It's very, very similar. And you can go to these countries and get these visuals so much easier than you think. You know, get on Google and you'll find that you'll get customers. Nada Satari said, can you talk about increasing customer retention? Will you shoot yourself in the foot if you decrease your prices, thus less gross margin to increase retention? I run a pet supplies e-com business. This is a difficult one, and we are definitely going into an economic downturn. Interest rates are taking more disposable income from people, and I've actually reduced prices in some of my businesses and seen sales go up. And I think sometimes you have to be prepared to do that if you can look at average lifetime value. Try and package up as offers rather than discounting, because I think if you market yourself as massively discount driven, people will only buy from you when you're on a discount. But if you can market yourself as really good value for money, people keep going back to you because they know they're going to get good value for money. You got to market harder and find some loss leader. If I had an e-com pets business, I would definitely have some loss leader products that would drive you as a good value for money business, and then have other products within your suite that will give you higher gross margin. Now think about this as if you're a supermarket. They sell bread and milk at really cost of what it costs them to buy in, but they need that to be good value so that people buy the other stuff, so they're increasing basket value. So that's one of the processes that I would be thinking about in our e-com business. And then you want to get big enough that you can import your own stuff and build a wholesale business on the side. So that's what I've done with Party Pieces. We've got a huge direct to consumer business. We'll do 2-3 million quid direct to consumer, but we're going to buy in products and wholesale it to leisure businesses and physical retail shops and maybe even some chain shops. But we'll use that combined business ecosystem to build a bigger business. So you've got a wholesale side selling direct to consumer, mix it all together and you should be in a better place. The second you can buy direct from manufacturer, you should increase your gross margin. How can you do that as a smaller business? You build a big wholesale arm on the side. If you've got any questions you'd like me to answer, hit them in the comments on any of my YouTube videos and we'll try our very best to answer as many as possible. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because that's just a nice thing to do. More people get to see our channel and it makes us look good. So please subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video to help grow your business.